Hey, what's up, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Glad to be back with you. We'll be back later this week with another full episode with Coach and Madman, but I want to jump on and give a little recruiting update because it's been a big, exciting weekend. Feels like what recruiting should feel like when covering USC football. And man, it has come full circle after these kind of 3 years of up and downs. And let's be real. It's February. It's almost March. We had to ourselves last year kind of simmer it down after some huge weekends in March, and then seeing the decommitments come in May and June and July and August, and kind of say, you know what, okay, this is a long cycle. It's new now with NIL. It's a lot different. There's going to be decommitments, so we don't want to get too up. But this does feel different than it did last year, and I'll explain why in just a minute. First and foremost, or not foremost, but first of all, show is always brought to you by our friends by BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. All the best money lines, game spreads, every sport you can imagine to wager on can be found at BetOnline, and they're good friends of the LAFB network. All the sports going on right now, minus football, but you can bet on the draft. When's Woody Marks going to get drafted? They got all that at BetOnline, and you can do baseball. Hockey's back. What a great Four Nations Cup that was. But you got Kings hockey looking good right now, vying for the playoffs. NHL trade deadline's coming, and obviously the Lakers looking dominant now with Luka and LeBron. So all of that can be done at betonline.ag. Tell them the guys at the LAFB network sent you. All right, so we got 2 commitments that came in over the weekend. One on Thursday or Friday, one yesterday on Sunday, and we've gotten 2 crystal balls now for some more local, well, one's not local, but more high-profile commits, if you will. So first, let's start with the big flip. Quarterback Jonas Williams, a few days old now, but I just want to touch on it quickly, was committed to Oregon, is now flipped his commitment to Lincoln Riley in USC. And it had been trending this way for a little while after his junior day, or after USC's junior day that he was a surprise visitor at. Lincoln, Coach Riley had visited him previously out in Illinois where he's from. And then he showed up at junior day, went really well. Family said they loved it. And he's just a fit for this system and for Lincoln Riley. So this feels like a match made in heaven. And anytime you can flip someone or even just gain a commitment from Oregon, it seems like on the recruiting trail, whether people want to say it's in the actual gridiron or not, but on the recruiting trail, that seems to be the biggest rival for USC is Oregon and vice versa. And for the past decade, Oregon's really had USC's number in recruiting, especially in Southern California. So it's good to get a win against Oregon in this sense and flip a great quarterback in Jonas Williams. Here's a kid that, what is he, 6'3", 215, great build, entering his senior year, did not play last year due to transferring. So he transferred schools in Illinois last season. But his sophomore year, had a somewhat injury-riddled sophomore year and still threw for over 3,100 yards and 33 touchdowns as a sophomore. So didn't play last year. Currently the 7th-ranked QB, according to On3 industry recruiting rankings. And so after this year, I feel real confident just based on a little bit, I haven't watched that much, the little bit of tape that I've seen and the style of play that he is, being that true, you could call it dual threat, you could call it just mobile QB, but the perfect fit for Lincoln Riley. Like, I would not be shocked at all if he puts on a even subpar senior season that just flashes some of that talent, that he's going to jump to be a 5-star and probably jump top 5 in the 26 cycle. So I think this is a huge get. Don't be I don't think discouraged the right word, but don't think like, oh wow, we only got the 7th-ranked QB. Why aren't we going for top 5 QB? I think the talent shows, and the fact that he didn't play last year has left a lot uninterpreted, and that can shift and change certainly after this season. One note: Ryder Lyons is kind of the crown jewel. I know Jared Curtis is the number 1 ranked recruit in the 26 class. Ryder Lyons, I believe, is 2 or 3, depending on what rankings you're going off of. USC is still very much in on Ryder Lyons. Ryder Lyons still very much predicted to pick USC. He's still uncommitted at the moment. Obviously, his brother, Walker Lyons, tight end at USC. But he is, as all reporting indicates, is planning to take his LDS mission after this year. So he will actually be a 27 recruit. I've said that before on the show. I've written about it extensively on LAFBnetwork.com. But I just want to reiterate, now, this isn't a perfect world. Everything, there's a consequence or reaction for everything. But just based on that, I don't think the commitment of Jonas Williams will have any effect on the future commitment of potentially getting Ryder Lyons at USC as well. Because in reality, you'll have Husan Longstreet leading your 25 class, Jonas Williams, if he stays committed, long way to go, but if he stays committed in your 26 class, and then Ryder Lyons headlining your 27 class, as you always kind of do want to have a QB in each class, just especially nowadays with all the transfer portal. You never know who's gonna stay and whatnot. So you kind of got to have that depth that you're not having to always hit the portal for a QB. You want to be able to develop those guys, especially in Lincoln Riley's system. So Jonas Williams, huge get, huge flip, and a great addition to this room. Shout out Coach Heward as well, who's just been instrumental in these quarterback recruitings. Obviously, he was huge in the Husan Longstream flip and was very integral in this one as well. All indications point to. So next, the big one yesterday, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing the last name wrong, but Edge out of Rancho Santa Margarita, Samote Katanga, local kid, 6'5", 250, 4-star, currently the 7th out of California in this 11 total player commitment class of 2026. He's the 10th ranked edge player in the entire 2026 class. Another huge commitment. This commitment brought USC's 26 class up to the number 1 ranked class on Rivals in 247. They're still at number 2 on 3, but that can certainly change with the way things are trending as well. So, just another big commitment for SC. And I think that the fact that this is a homegrown kid from Oceanside, California, going to Rancho Santa Margarita, who now Carson Palmer is becoming the head coach of. I don't know if that had a huge effect yet because he just took over like a month ago in the commitment, but building a nice pipeline there. Anything in the Trinity League is what you want. And so I think it's huge. I mean, not to mention just the great player this kid is, 6'5", 250, like I mentioned. Still going to be a senior. So he's already got the size. Rebuilding that kind of like Polynesian pipeline that USC has become so well known for, but kind of strayed away from a little while. And so I think this is a huge deal to rebuild not only that pipeline with the Polynesian players, but also just with the Southern California players. And on top of that, the Trinity League players that they know, okay, if I'm going to play at Mater Dei, Rancho Santa Margarita, Servite, Olu, like my goal is USC. That's what you want these kids to be. Obviously, there's going to be some kids that, hey, I want to get out of state. I want to experience new things. I've grown up in Southern Cal. But if you can instill a practice and instill a philosophy that the goal is when you go to these Southern California high schools, the goal is if hey, I live in Monrovia, but I'm going to go to Mater Dei, like Raleek Brown did. Or I live in Long Beach, but I'm going to go to St. John Bosco, like Raylene Goforth did. The goal is I'm going to that school to get to USC. Not I'm going to that school to get to college ball. The goal is I'm going there because I know they have a pipeline to USC. That is what you want to establish. And that's what was established for many years. And so if you can start creating that storyline for these kids that, hey, the goal is to get to SC, not the goal is just to get to college. And there's going to be Southern Cali kids that go to Oregon, they go to Michigan, they go to Alabama, they go to Ohio State because, I'm from Colorado. I wanted to get out of Colorado. I just wanted to experience new life. But if you can keep this 70%, 65, 75% of these kids, their goal is purely to put on that interlocked SC, to put on that Cardinal and Gold, then you've built something. And I think adding Samote Kanonga is a great step in the right direction. And again, 7 out of the 11 commits for 2026 now are California kids. And it feels like there are more on the way. So quickly, just to add on to that, two crystal ball predictions. Fong bombs, if you will. Steve Wiltfong of On3. Hey, what's going on, family? Got to quickly tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy, new sponsor and friend of the show. One of the most fun games out there, fantasy games you can do in the industry today. Super easy to do. Go to the App Store or go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Download today. Use our promo code LAFB, or you can just click the link in the description wherever you are watching. That promo code is going to give the new user that you have just become a free pick, one free pick, and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's free money. Up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Why would you not want to do that for a simple deposit? Just make sure to use that promo code LAFB or click the link below. The game is super easy. It's super fun. Pick 2 to 8 players in a game. Go ahead and go with the higher or lower, whether they're going to have more passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards, rushing yards, any of that. It's a lot of fun. And just choose higher or lower. That's easy with the opportunity to win. So go to Underdog Fantasy today. Promo code LAFB gets you a free entry and up to a $1,000 bonus cash. Scott Schrader, our good friend, also has put in some. Trent Mosley, who is Samote's teammate at Rancho Santa Margarita. Wide receiver. He has been given a prediction to commit to USC. No, not done yet. I think he still has some visits scheduled. But USC is now the favorite to land him, with Notre Dame coming in second. Now, they will not be without competition. His brother currently plays at Stanford, had a standout freshman year. Both his parents went to Notre Dame. So there'll certainly be some, I don't know, I just want to say influence, but, there'll be some influence for those two schools. But the fact that USC is the local school, they have that more fighting chance, because while you have alumnus of Notre Dame, while you have a sibling up the coast at Stanford, there's also we don't got to travel to watch your games. We can just drive up the 5 and see you. That certainly plays a huge thing. So, and the fact that now his teammate has committed to SC. His coach this year is an SC legend in Carson Palmer. Chad Bowden, who's coming from Notre Dame, probably helped recruit this kid at Notre Dame, now is at SC, so that relationship has been built. So it's all coming to fruition a little bit, right? So the 4-star, 5'10", 170-pound receiver. He's the 26th ranked receiver in the nation per On3 industry rankings, 18th ranked overall player in the state of California at this moment in February. Obviously, that can shift after his senior year, but I think this would be a great wide receiver addition. Tons of wide receivers that are on USC's radar. We've written about them at LAFBnetwork.com, so you can check that out. A bunch have scheduled visits. Booby Feaster, the reclassification from 27 to 26. Tons. The modern day kids are all scheduled visits. So, in June's going to be a wild month for visits, and there's a lot of receivers going to be on campus. So I don't think SC fans need to worry at all about receivers with this coaching staff, with Lincoln Riley. How they develop them, that's what we need to see a little bit more success rate on. And how Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane play this year, I think, will be really telling of that. And whether last year was more of an issue of too much depth, not enough nuance, or not enough strategically playing the correct guys, as versus just practice development. So I think we'll see this year really in kind of the potential, I don't even want to say breakout, but potential climb of both Lemon and Lane. And then who they get in this 26 class will just add to that. But I don't think we have to worry about recruiting receivers. I think they're always going to get receiver talent and whatnot. So, and Mosley, I think, would be a great one. And again, he's a local kid, so you can add him to the list. I think he'd be really fun to add to this. So, last one I'll say, and then I'll wrap up. Hawaii offensive lineman Malachi Lee just picked up a crystal ball prediction from Steve Whitfong, or at least a RPM, whatever they call them, but a prediction to commit to SC. 6'7", 310-pound offensive lineman out of Hawaii. Huge. This would be a huge get. 8th overall tackle in the entire class. Top 100 player in the whole class. Michigan's been pushing hard for him. Nebraska, Georgia, Oregon, all the usual players. But now USC has picked up that crystal ball. And, I mean, this would be another huge, huge one. They would just push USC further into that number 1 ranking if they were able to seal and close and retain the deal. So want to get more on his tape a little bit, see what he brings. But when you just hear that size going into a senior year, 6'7", 310, that guy's built like a Big Ten offensive tackle. So that's what you want to see. So big recruiting week for USC. I think it's just picking up steam. And I teased in the beginning, I think why this is different, and I'll say this quickly. Because, again, remember last March, there was a ton of momentum around this program. You had just brought on Coach Henney. You had the practice in March or February, right around the same time, almost exactly a year ago, where Aaron Donald's at practice. The vibes are good. You get in the same weekend, Justice Terry and Isaiah Gibson, 2 top 10 players in the whole class, both committing the same weekend. Hilton Stubbs commits later, one of the top safeties. You had just hired Danton Lynn, so it's like, wow, look at this defense, recruiting these defensive guys. Vibes were high. All those guys end up decommitting. For whatever reason we want to say, I think there was a number of factors. NIL was definitely one of them. Definitely, we know for sure that was one of them. I mean, Justice Terry literally came out and said he went to Texas because they paid more. I mean, he didn't even hide around the bush. It's like, well, yeah, I couldn't refuse. I can't remember the exact quote, so I'm not quoting him, but essentially said, yeah, they wrote the biggest check. Isaiah Gibson ended up, staying closer to home. Hilton Stubbs closer to home. So why I think this is different, one, you have an actual, elite front office now. So NIL should not be an issue. You're still at times going to get outbid, guys. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There are times when some school will outbid you in a player, and you just have to say, are we willing to pay that or not? It will happen. It will probably happen to someone in this class. The key is it doesn't happen to numerous players in this class, which I don't think it will, because now with Chad Bowden and his staff, those problems, I think, are gone. Because we've known the money was there. That problem got ratified last year. The previous year, the money was the issue. And then last year, they had the money, but the allocation and how the communication, the negotiation, that was the issue. So now, all that's gone. So, yeah, you might lose 1 or 2 because it's the world of college football. But as long as that's not a problem, we're good there. So I think that's one thing why this is not going to be an issue like it was last year. And then 2, you just alleviate so much when it's local kids. Because when you're a local kid and you commit across the country, when you're Isaiah Gibson, Justice Terry, Hilton Stubbs, and you're from Georgia, Florida, and you committed early in the process to LA, all the way across the country, guess who's chirping at you the whole time? You're getting calls from everyone still. But guess who's showing up at your practice because it's an hour away? Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Miami. It's much easier for Lincoln Riley and Eric Henderson and Danton Lynn and Dennis Simmons to take an afternoon to go to Mater Dei. Take a quick afternoon to go up to John Muir in Pasadena. Take a quick weekend, go up to Folsom in NorCal. It's a lot easier than having to do that cross-country flight in Georgia to check in. Because a phone call only goes so far sometimes. Sometimes it's that face-to-face. So the fact that 7 of the 11 commits to this class are local California kids, I don't think we'll see as big as a exodus that we saw last year. Who knows? This recruiting world is wild. And I'm done being shocked and surprised. But I think the factors of the front office being one of the best in football now, and the tangible desire and execution of recruiting local in California changes things in the way players will remain here as opposed to exiting like they did last year. We'll see. Long way to go, baby. It's just February. We're not even at March yet. But I'm loving being more involved in this recruiting stuff. I thank you all for being with me. Drop your comments below if there's stuff you don't like, you want to see more of. If I'm missing on anything. All of this information, too, we're doing up on LAFBnetwork.com. I spend hours, and the rest of our team does, writing all this stuff up. And, we're trying to get more involved with rankings and whatnot and just being more involved in the high school game. So please, if you go to LAFBnetwork.com, check that out. That's how we make any money. It helps us out. Also, subscribe to this channel, USC LAFB. Helps us out. I love doing this. So just help us keep continuing this on. If you're not there, USC LAFB is a channel. Hit that like and subscribe. If you found us on audio, Apple, Spotify, Salute to Troy is the name of the show. And like I said, everything, including all of our Los Angeles sports content, Rams, Chargers, even UCLA, Lakers, Kings, Clippers, Dodgers, all of it is at LAFBnetwork.com, the LA Fanbase Network. Thank you all for now with me. I'm Ryan Dowd. We'll be back with the coach and madman here in a couple days. Everyone be well, and as always, fight on.